Yo, hell yeah. Wyatt begins in like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yo, welcome to Wyatt, and I'm your host, Wyatt O'Brien Evans. Grrr, woof, goddammit, woof, 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 woof. Hey, to all my YouTubers out there, if you like what you hear, if you like what you see, just click that subscribe button at the bottom of your screens. I say it, click it, click it, click it. I loves to click it. I do. Well, today's Wyatt is a very special episode. It's my recent in-depth interview with Dr. D.B. Marshall. He's the host of the popular radio program called Wellness Wednesdays. It airs on station WERU out of Atlanta. And DB and I talk about all things Shattered. I say it, Shattered, my brand new novel that's getting enthusiastic and solid reviews. I'm so proud of it. It has universal appeal. So we're going to talk all things Shattered. Also, my personal and professional journey, what moves me, what compels me, all of that good stuff. So, hi. I said, hi. Let's get the cracking.
Hey, good morning. It is Wellness Wednesday. I am your host, Dr. D.B. Marshall, and I hope everything is going well in your life today. Yeah, well, that's what I said. W-E-L-L. Well, now if you need to go on and create something to go with that acronym and make it an acronym, you can go ahead and do that. But I just want to make sure you are taking care of yourself. I'm not alone. We have Herbalist Keys with us. Good morning, sir.
Peace and blessings. Peace and blessings.
Yes. And so, in addition to that, we do have a guest with us, Mr. Wyatt O'Brien Evans, who's joining us as well.
Oh, thank you for having me on.
Oh, no problem. And so, before we get down in the nitty gritty, I'm not going to tell y'all what we're doing with Wyatt just yet. Okay. First, y'all know I believe in wellness checks, so we're just going to go around and make sure everybody, for the most part, is doing okay. Listen, I tell you this all the time. You never know. You never know what somebody is going through on the other side of your house, on the other side of the world, on the other side of a state, those border states. You always want to just take a moment and to check in. And so that's what we're getting ready to do this morning. I have to demonstrate and model the behavior if I want you all to be able to partake and implement what I'm suggesting, right? And that's how things typically work. So with that said, Wyatt, why don't you start us off? How are you feeling and what is going on in your life that is exciting?
Oh, my goodness. Well, let me tell you, man, I am doing great. I want to thank you and Herbalist T for having me on the show. I love that name, that moniker, Herbalist T. Okay, cool. No, I'm doing great because I have a brand new book called Nothing Can Tear Us Apart, Shattered. So I'm busy promoting that. It's getting some really great reviews, and I'm on your show to talk about it. So I'm just doing marvelous.
Good. It's always good to have entrepreneurs coming up and showing their talents, their skills, and being able just to put themselves out there. Everybody is not going to appreciate your art, all right? But as long as we understand who we are, what we're doing, we don't always need everyone to understand our art. Herbalist Keys, it's been a minute since I done hollered at you, sir. I talked about you like a dog on last week and how you and Oberoi have been traveling. So what's been going on with you? The last I heard, you was over there in Las Vegas, and I think they said you flew somewhere to Alaska, then from Alaska to Canada. I mean, help me understand what's going on with all this traveling.
Peace and blessings, everyone. Don't believe nothing that comes out of DB's mouth right now because it's full of it. Hey, Wyatt, thank you so much for the compliment. I appreciate the beautiful compliment, sir. Yes, I was in Vegas on my mom's birthday, and everybody knows I'm a workaholic, so I ended up making her birthday business too. So
wow.
I took care of business while I was out there. Made some great contacts for my business that I'm launching here in Minnesota. So yeah, it's been a wonderful week. Just have been super busy. Our state fair started here. We had one of the largest state fairs in the United States. So it's like a big deal for us. So yeah, it's been great. And the question is, how have you been doing, DB?
Oh, you know what? That's real. That's a real good question this morning. That's a real good question. I am okay. So I had this expectation once I have finished my dissertation that things were going to slow down. And for some reason that is not happening. So I'm trying to figure out, is it the user, the person, me, right, to blame for this? Or is it something that I'm overlooking? But I think when I finish doing my assessment, I'm going to be blaming the person in the mirror. That's my thought.
Can I help you summarize that assessment?
So I'm working on that. I am working on how many people that you could sit down and say they are doing the most. They need to sit down somewhere. Usually you don't get that. Usually you get people like stop being lazy and get up and do something. But it's the opposite for me. I don't understand.
Well, let the pot call the kettle black. It's you.
Well, that is true. You are a Capricorn, so we're going to leave it like that. We're going to leave it just like that. Well, I'm glad you was out there in Las Vegas with the smokers. Hello, Las Vegas. You know, all getting blazed up and stuff. That is definitely your crowd right there.
It definitely, I learned a lot of great things from my business. Even got a chance to take my mom to a dispensary so she can see what her son is working to do, So, yeah, it felt good.
You know what? That's really good. I wonder if I can take my mom into a dispensary. I mean, I'm going to try that.
I ain't got to buy nothing, but it just shows what something other that was so underground and illegal in their days of how it can be a whole a department store pretty much, literally, because the dispensary we went to in Vegas, they have a club, they have restaurants and all types of stuff in it. So, yeah.
And I just feel like we just celebrated her birthday 3 months ago. She has another one?
My mom?
Yeah.
No, we didn't celebrate her birthday 3 months ago. You do it too much.
You were just in the hall getting all this stuff together, right?
That was last year.
I just felt like it was just 3 months ago. All right.
It feel like it was 3 months ago because that took a whole life out of me.
Yeah, it did.
I got new gray hairs.
Oh, then you didn't work hard for your money then.
Didn't get paid for that one.
So as you all can see, we are doing absolutely well. Again, make sure you take an opportunity to check in on your folks. I just listen. I just feel like people have been dying left and right. And at least on my end, they have been coming in threes. I don't know what that looks like on your table on this morning, and I don't know what it looks like on your television this morning where you are, but I know we have to take the opportunity. Just say, I love you. I'm thinking about you. Come by and see me sometime. So you don't have to bring a plate. You just bring yourself and I'll be just fine. I'll be just fine. So we're going to start right there. When we come back, we're going to have more on Wellness Wednesday. Stay tuned. Hey, good morning. Thank you for sticking with us. This is Dr. DB Marshall. I have Herbalist Keys and Wyatt O'Brien Evans. And he has a new book that's just came out, which he's making his rounds promoting. And the title of his book is Nothing Can Tear Us Apart, Shattered. Now, Wyatt.
Can we get an applause for him first?
Oh,
So,
yeah.
being an author, let's give him applause. A black author?
Please.
Yeah, let's give you an applause. That's right.
Oh, thank you, gentlemen.
No problem. And so, Wyatt, as I was reading over your bio, I didn't realize you were so involved and do so much. I would just want to thank you for just being an advocate in the community for so long. Not only that, I also read that not only that you are an author, but you also is a IPV expert. And for those who may not know what IPV is, it's intimate partner violence. But back in the day, they used to call it domestic violence, but they didn't get fancy with the name now, and so they call it something else. So why don't you tell us a little bit about you, and then we'll dive right into how your life and your story, birthed out this new book. Go ahead.
Oh, certainly. Thank you, BB. I'm a native Washingtonian. I am a journalist, an author, intimate partner violence and abuse. The acronym is IPVA, survivor, advocate. Also, I am a radio personality, the Wyatt podcast that you can check out on YouTube and Spotify.
Mm-hmm.
And, I've written all my life. Ever since I was a little boy, I've wanted to, I was writing and thinking about writing and what have you. I currently write a series of novels called Nothing Can Tear Us Apart, and Shattered is a brand new, it's the new sequel. It's getting outstanding reviews across the board. It has universal appeal. And one of the main reasons why I write the series is because I wanted to shine a spotlight, a bright spotlight on intimate partner violence and abuse, acronym IPVA. And that is simply domestic violence and abuse within our community. Mm-hmm. And it's the elephant in the room. People don't want to talk about it. It occurs, gentlemen, more than people want to believe and think. And a lot of it has to do with the reason why it's underreported and people don't want to talk about it, particularly within gay, SGL, same-gender loving men, is because of stigma. Because no man wants people to know that another guy is kicking his butt, right? Abusing him in that way. And I am a survivor. And as a journalist, that's my main focus is intimate partner violence and abuse. And one of the major themes of the Nothing Can Tear Us Apart series of novels, Shattered being brand new, is intimate partner violence and abuse, because again, I wanted to let people know that this occurs more frequently than we want to deal with.
Yeah. It is. And believe it or not, there's quite a few of us have grown up either hearing, observing some form of abuse. And one of the things that we mention in the mental health field, if a child has been exposed to any type of domestic violence or in intimate partner violence, then that is considered that you did not protect your child if they witnessed that type of abuse, because this is associated with trauma. So my question to you is, were you ever exposed to that type of abuse growing up? Because usually when we see or learn things, we either do the same exact thing or we do something differently.
Right. That's a very good question. Growing up, no. My father died when I was very young, so I really didn't know him. So my mom raised me, so I never saw, there was never violence, emotional, mental, physical, that type of trauma in the home. But you're correct, because when I do workshops across the country regarding intimate partner violence and abuse, so much of it, I tell people, so much of it is learned behavior. Because let's say, for example, you are growing up and you see your father physically, mentally, emotionally abusing the mother, your mother, you very well may grow up being the perpetrator because it's like learned behavior. And also, too, you might be put in the position of being more of the victim, of the victim because of the lack of self-esteem and all of that stuff. But, it can be learned behavior. And fortunately for me, when I was growing up, I didn't experience that. However, I had like chronic self-esteem, a lack of self-esteem, and couldn't come to terms with my sexual orientation. So,
Yeah. Listen, I understand that. One of the things parents, if you are listening, or if you're an uncle, if you know anyone that is in those childhood ages, I want you to pour into them. And you mentioned something that is very important, is vital: self-confidence. When we aren't pouring into our kids as they are developing, it's easy for them to be sensitive to judgments and opinions of others, because kids go through this stage where they want to be a part of, and especially during those teenage years between the ages of like 12 and 18, that middle school to high school, they want a sense of belonging. And if you don't pour into those individuals, then somebody will. But we want to make sure that we pour in the right information, because they have tools to utilize if they receive information that may not be good for them. So we're going to stop right there. I want you to stay tuned, because when we come back, we're going to dive into For Mom Always. Stay tuned. Hey, we are back, and we are with none other than Mr. Wyatt O'Brien Evans. And so as we left off on that last segment, Wyatt, you talked about your mom a little bit. All right. You have this title bowl, For Mom Always. Tell me a little bit about that.
Oh, wow, man. Like I said before, my mom was mother and father. She was my best friend. She was always supportive of what I wanted to do, particularly journalism and writing. She passed away quite a few years ago, and I remember after she passed, I was going through her things, and she kept everything. She kept the writing contest that I won, the awards, particularly the journalistic writing stuff, because she knew that was the path rather that I was supposed to walk, that I was supposed to be on. So she was such a significant influence. And particularly, she had to do both roles, mother and father. So,
So this was a dedication to her?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. And moving forward to January 8th, 2023, and it reads, this is just an excerpt, y'all. Yo, over here, we found him, Mr. Kelly. Who is Mr. Kelly?
Oh, who is Mr. Kelly?
Yeah.
Okay, well, let me do it like this. Let me give you like the synopsis of Nothing Can Tear Us Apart, Shattered. You have two openly gay, masculine men of color. You have Wesley, who is in his 40s rather. Mm-hmm. He's black. He's wealthy. His net worth is nearly $1 billion. He is an entrepreneur. He's an entertainer. And then you have Antonio, who is his deliciously muscular Latino chief of security, who's also openly gay. And they meet for the very first time, when Wesley is interviewing for the position of chief of security. They have this immediate chemistry on so many different levels, not just the physical, but the mental and the emotional. Mm-hmm. But both men have been burned in the love department before, so even though they have this instant chemistry, they don't act on it. But after they get to know each other and work with one another, they can't deny their feelings. So they fall into LUV love. I make it a slow burn because I want folks to know that your hormones don't necessarily have to control you. I wanted to show that these two men can have a substantive relationship. So they enter a monogamous relationship, but they're both damaged in some ways. For example, Wes has been bullied before. He was raped as a child. Antonio has his abandonment issues. And then there is this shadowy figure that has an end for Wes who comes into the picture. And what he does is he wants to destroy that relationship. So he sets it up to make it look like Wes has been cheating. Antonio takes the bait. He physically abuses Wes. That's the intimate partner violence and abuse piece.
Mm-hmm.
So he's trying to get Wes back. He knows he's done wrong. Different things happen. They do get back together. But what I do is this, and this is really very important. I don't have like this quick fix of them getting back together. They both go to couples counseling and individual counseling, and you find that within the series, and then they make their way back together. However, with Shattered, the new sequel, there's a twist. You have Wes's son that he never knew he had.
Mm-hmm.
At 17, come into the picture. Back in the day, Wes couldn't deal with his sexual orientation. He has a relationship with a woman. She, though, finds out that he's cheating on her with the man. She becomes pregnant. She doesn't tell him. So she is telling the son, he abandoned us, yada, 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 but she dies. The son comes in. The son doesn't believe that Wes never knew he existed. He's a raging homophobe. So what he does is he does everything he can. He's a trip to break up Wes and Antonio. So that's another conflict.
Okay.
So
let's pause right there. What character are you married to? What's the character that you feel the most connected?
Oh, wow. I get versions of that question all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I think pieces of both of them are within me, but more so Wes, because Wes has that entrepreneurial spirit. He's a writer as well. He'll give you the shirt off of his back. He sometimes wears his heart on his sleeve. He donates to causes and to people that are in need. So
yeah,
I would probably say I'm more like Wes.
Mm-hmm. So
but I do have pieces of Antonio within me as well.
So you connected more to Wes because he reminds you of you. Is that what you're saying? That he mirrors some of your characteristics?
Absolutely.
Okay. And so if that is the case, if you described Antonio as delicious, I was kind of curious, out of all the terms you use to try to describe Antonio, you chose delicious. So I'm just wondering, number one, was that person that you were thinking about, that's how you saw them? Or is it someone that you somewhat fantasize about personally? But we're going to stay there. When we come back, we're going to find more about delicious. I don't even think I want to call him Antonio. I just want to call him delicious. That sounds like a better name.
Call him, or you can call him Lish for short. But we'll talk about that.
All right. Y'all stay tuned. When we come back, we're going to have more with Mr. Wyatt O'Brien Evans. Stay tuned. Hey, we are back. And I am with Mr. Evans. And so we left off with delicious. That's all just delicious. And I'm not talking about chocolate chip cookies. I'm not talking about stuffed Oreos. I'm not talking about cheesecake. Right now, we're talking about delicious. So describe delicious. I'm just curious what delicious looks like in your head.
When I created both characters, I wanted there to be a physical difference between the two. Now, Wes is nicely built. He's got a gym body. But I wanted, since Antonio is this chief of security, I wanted him to be, as I put it, deliciously muscular, because Antonio's like 6'3", like 280, no fat on his bones. You will find within my writing, I'm so very, very descriptive. You smell it, you taste it, you can feel it, you can truly envision it. And, I got sex scenes in there as well, some good, hot, juicy stuff. But back to delicious, I was thinking someone who had a great, well-muscled body. Big, be that bodybuilder,
Yeah. It sounds like he has supple skin too. I don't know, like it's really dewy or something. I don't know, the way you just kind of describing it. That's good to know. Ideally, that's what a lot of people tend to like to look at, those are like your trophies, boyfriends or whatever it is that you want to call them. And so what were the insecurities? Because when you described Mr. Kelly, all I got was someone who was extremely, extremely insecure.
Not in business, very strong, very savvy, doesn't take any bullshit.
Yeah.
Personal life, particularly, he was bullied when he was a kid. He was sexually abused when he was a kid by a man and a woman, a couple. So all of that stuff, I don't care how old you are, if you don't have it resolved, it'll pop up and influence how you react and deal with people. So, and then he was like Antonio, burned in the love department. He couldn't find that soulmate, the person that he could really connect with. So those were his insecurities.
Okay.
Where Tonio is concerned, he was abandoned as well. His father left his mother for a long period of time, and he would be in the window waiting for his father to visit, and his father didn't show up. So he's the type of person that when he loves someone, he loves them very strongly and deeply, but he might hold on to them too tightly.
Yeah.
And when you hold on to somebody too tightly, sometimes you'll lose that person.
That's true. Everybody definitely need their space. But when you were talking about Mr. Kelly, you mentioned the trauma that he went through. But I'm just curious, how did the trauma manifest as an insecurity? So I'm assuming he didn't feel like maybe he was worthy of having something like delicious, or where was he, he like confidence within himself? Like, what were some of the things that he dealt with when it came to insecurities?
Like I said, basically the whole, the his personal life. Mm-hmm. He's saying to himself, I've failed before. I failed in the love department more times than I would like. Am I doing something wrong? Gotcha. So definitely insecure with that piece. Being bullied and being raped when you were a kid, when he was a kid, definitely affected him too. With abandonment issues, with maybe sometimes getting close to someone. So it was like it was stuff swirling around him. A lot of times he could keep it together and come across as being very confident, particularly in business. But then with that type of trauma, and also too, he split into an alternate personality by the name of Walker. That's in the book as well. So all of the trauma, the rape, the bullying, and then with Antonio battering him, he just couldn't deal with it. And his alter ego, his, alternate personality surfaced. So that's also in the book. So you're trying to figure out if he could have ever reclaim himself.
And, just kind of reading through the book and also listening to you, there's a lot of mental health things that really stood out to me. And that's why I asked you to identify those insecurities, because I do believe when a lot of us are in relationships, insecurity pops up, if not often, every so often, right? It rears his head, and we don't always know how to manage that. Well, we want to take this opportunity to thank you. It's always a beautiful thing when we start to see more people standing up to tell stories, whether it's their stories or the stories of others. People read books because they see themselves in the books that they read, or they're hoping to take away something that would benefit them lives, that would elevate them to the next level, right? So Absolutely. Right now, this book I'm sure would be a blessing to some, if not all, who purchase it. But let's do this. Why don't you let them know where they can find your art and where they can follow you on social media?
Oh, definitely. You can visit WyattEvans.com. There is a special Nothing Can Tear Us Apart Shattered page with all of the information. And you can just go to Amazon. You look for either Wyatt O'Brien Evans or Wyatt O. Evans. And you can follow me on Facebook at Wyatt O'Brien Evans, Twitter at, Mr. Woe. Let me spell it. MISTERWOE. On Instagram, it's Sir, SIR, dot Wyatt Official.
Look at that. You are professional. You're so professional. We like professionals. Thank you. Thank you for your time and your talents. Listen, if no one told you that they love you, allow us to take this opportunity to extend our hearts, our minds, and our words to you and say that we love you. Have a great day and amazing week. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So, y'all, there you have it. You can find the official Wyatt podcast page at WyattEvans.com, the go-to destination for LGBTQ plus news, features, commentary, and entertainment. WyattEvans.com is visited by more than 100 countries on the regular. All I can say to that is, hey, baby. And at WyattEvans.com, you'll find my smoking hot, HAWT hot, Nothing Can Tear Us Apart series of novels. And as you just saw on the top, the newest installment is called Shattered. I said Shattered. And y'all, Shattered is full of action, danger, intrigue, sexually charged situations, passion, and all of the wonderful elements that you're used to in the Nothing Can Tear Us Apart series of novels. So get your new copy of Shattered. Now you can follow me, your host, Wyatt O'Brien Evans, all across social media, and poof, is right there for you to peruse, like TikTok and Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. And if you have any comments or whatever, you can hit me up at wyattonair@gmail.com. So until next time, y'all, woof, goddammit, woof, 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 woof. I said woof.